Okay, here we are with the Kerbal Space Program. Try to be quick because last time I did this took me over an hour. Just resuming my game already in progress. I've got 3 flights happening already. This is the Space Center on the early morning. Here's the building where you go to assemble your space planes and air-breathing planes. There's the runway. This is the astronaut complex where you can actually go to hire the astronauts that you put into your aircraft. There's obviously 2 attributes right now, courage and stupidity. I don't know if they'll add more in the future. This building is where you go to see your flights in progress, to monitor them, and actually to jump to them to start to control them. Here's the launch pad. You can leave vehicles on the launch pad, but if you do, you won't see them from this view. This is the assembly building for your rockets. So over here are the different command modules that you have to choose from. This one's just a bare seat. Might be good for a buggy or something. These bottom ones are all unmanned, so they're basically just represent computers. These ones on top are manned. They can hold different numbers of astronauts. This one looks like the Apollo capsule, let's say. This one looks like the windowed area of the space station. So that one might be appropriate for a space station. And the other parts, these are the engines and the fuel tanks. The SAS are devices that allow you to control the orientation of the ship using spinning masses. So they provide torque that will spin the ship as well. These are the Rcs Thrusters, which use monopropellant to shoot jets of propellant for fine maneuvers like docking in space. Then here's other parts, structural parts, decouplers. These are used to separate the stages, and then radial decouplers, which will allow you to put boosters on. When the boosters run out, you can jettison the boosters that way. And these are fins and batteries, solar arrays. These are the landing gear for like Moonlet, the lunar modules, docking ports. These are the ladders, lights. This is like a flash spotlight, and this is more like a diffuse light. And then wheels that are usable for building buggies and things. And some scientific equipment, accelerometer, thermometer, gravity detector, barometer, etc. Okay, let's load up my Apollo ship, already made. This design deviates from the Saturn V in a couple ways. First of all, it has 7 engines on the bottom, and then I added 3 more on the second stage up here. Without those, I can't get into orbit. So this is where the third stage is. This just finalizes my orbit, and then the rest gets me to the moon. From this point up to this point is the lunar module. You can see the landing gear here. This is the descent stage, and then this is the ascent stage. They will separate. And then here's the service module and the command module. And in orbit, the command module will dock with the lunar module, and before we make the trip to the moon. These are the little Rcs Thrusters. I added some solar panels, and these little white balls are monopropellant for the Rcs Thrusters. You can tell it's a long, skinny rocket, which means it becomes quite wobbly, which explains these trusses here. These go across the stages, because where the two stages meet is where the rocket is the weakest, so I had to really strengthen it, or else the rocket just wobbled out of control and did the inevitable crash. So up here there's 3 parachutes and 1 light. The light is used for when I'm, depending on what side of the planet I'm on. So on the dark side I use that light in order to dock with the lunar module. And I guess that explains it all. Yep. For some reason my flag keeps getting unset. This is my flag, and we are going to launch. Okay, here's my rocket. So you can see it's already flexing in the wind. I'll just turn up my throttle and just revert to launch. Try that again. Attempt number 2. The planet's rotation. So this little arc represents our ballistic trajectory, and once we get that to go all the way around the planet, then that means we've got an orbit. And I think we're just about ready to start moving sideways now. I've activated SAS, so the computers will try to keep me on the same trajectory. So while they're doing that, I'll extend my solar panels. Check how my orbit's going. I think about the lowest stable orbit you can get is around 75,000 meters, so if I try to go too high, I run out of fuel. So I think we're doing pretty good now. You can see this is my space station that I have already in orbit. This is basically a refueling depot. It's just full fuel tanks that you can transfer fuel into your ship once you've reached orbit, which is useful once you try going beyond orbit to other planets. Best launch so far using this rocket. Okay, I'm just going to cut the engines for a second. This is the AP is apoapsis, and on the opposite side, once we get a full orbit, there will be a periapsis. If this was Earth, that would be apogee and perigee. Okay. That one just ran out. Oh, you know what? This is the engine for the lunar module. I'm just going to have to borrow it for a second to complete this orbit. Not quite as good of a launch as I thought it was. Okay, there we go. Okay. I'm just going to transfer some fuel from the service module back into the lunar module so that there's enough to actually land on the moon. Okay, there we go. And as you can see, we've got a decent orbit now, so I can deal with docking to the lunar module. These guys don't look too happy, but